Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us tonight on episode 12, season 6 of the Standoff with Brad and Richie here on New Zealand Sport Radio. We're here live on Wednesdays on Facebook and YouTube throughout the season. Evening, Richie. Well, it was a weekend of comebacks, but thankfully the Warriors avoided that pattern and held on for another win, securing the second place for now. How are you, and what do you think of the weekend?
I'm doing not too bad, thanks, Brad. Yeah, that game probably shaved another couple of years off my life. But yeah, other than that, had a good weekend, enjoyed the footy. How about you? Everything all good?
Yeah, it was a decent round, some entertaining matches. The comebacks always make things exciting, except when your team's involved. So, and that draw between the Cowboys and Panthers, having no horse in the race, it was an absolute cracker, I thought. Wouldn't have wanted to be in that situation if the Warriors were there, but thankfully we got another win, which is still surprising me how well we're doing, but we'll talk about that later. While we're here live on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m, you can also catch our show at your convenience on iHeartRadio and Spotify. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. As always, we're going to cover everything you need to know in the week that was rugby league, including our top stories of the week, a review of the round 10 matches. We'll then take a look at the ladder, our fantasy teams, and the tipping comp. We're kind of failing on both sides of that, so I don't know.
Yep.
We'll then answer questions from you guys as well as questions prepared for each other. And then we'll go over round 11 and make our picks, which when we talk about tips, I don't know if you would take our selections to the bank anytime soon. But remember to send us comments and questions throughout the show. Paul is not here again. He's obviously over us, so I will no doubt answer all the questions as we go, like a dog chasing a car. But we may as well get straight into the top stories, mate.
Sounds good.
So we talked about it last week, and it feels like almost every week since we started back up this year, but the NRL has officially announced that Perth will join the competition in 2027. So I didn't really have anything else other than that. I put it at the end of the news, but bring it up now. Mal Meninga has thrown his hat in the ring to be the coach of the Perth Bears. We've had no news on anything yet, but do you have any more opinions other than what we've already talked about?
Not really. I'm not sure about Mel as a full-time coach for a new organisation. He's fine in the rep situation where he's got stacked talented teams and it's short campaigns, but yeah, I'm not sure about a full-time NRL gig with a new organisation.
No, I think we've talked about it. I think Brad Arthur's going to be the one announced. I think he's the type of guy they're going to look at trying to build a team from nothing, as opposed to bringing in Mal, who is very good when he's got, the very best talent around to play for him, and Sam Burgess, who is still inexperienced, been doing very well in the Super League as a coach, but taking a brand new team and trying to get them competitive right from the get-go. It would be my choice with Arthur, just with the options. Simon's here too. Even Simon, he said Mal Meninga is a good international coach. And said, the good international coach from Leeds might be better suited. And Jacko said NRL want Mal though, so who knows? I guess it all depends on what the Volandis and that South African want as well. So we'll see. They also announced the 2026 Las Vegas clashes today. We talked about it before jumping on, how I'm not really that excited about any of the teams going, but I understand every team is going at some point. So they've announced the games. We've got the Bulldogs versus the Dragons, the Knights versus the Cowboys, and then we've got Hull KR versus Leeds as the Super League team. Thoughts?
I'm not jumping out of my chair for any of those games, but I'm sure once it rolls around the event, I'll be excited to watch it, given that we'll be hungry for footy at that stage. But yeah, No, I don't know. Obviously the Dogs are a top tier side right now, and the Cowboys on
Yep.
their day with ball in hand are nice to watch. But yeah, nothing to get too excited about from my point of view.
Yeah, I was just trying to think what teams haven't gone yet, because there'll be the last 4 teams next year, or 2027. What you got? Have the Storm gone?
No,
No.
I don't
So
think
you
so.
got
No,
Storm, Tigers, Dolphins, and Titans, I think, are the
Titans.
ones
Yeah,
left. So yeah, we'll see. As always, we'll get excited when it comes around. But yeah, that's it. And Simon said there'll be no South Africans joining that Bears team. That's interesting about South African Rugby League. It's under the domain of the South African Rugby Union, the South African Rhinos. I've always we got South African friends, mate. We've always talked about how that style of human would fit nicely into league if they ever actually took it seriously.
for sure.
But yeah, I think they're a long way off. But we'll jump into this one. Might take us a bit of time, mate. It's talking about officials and the dark arts. So Cowboys coach Todd Payton had a go at officials after his side's draw against the Panthers, saying they missed key penalties and is expected. I couldn't see if he actually did anything now, but he was expected to lodge an official complaint to the NRL as he insists there's no consistency. Same night, Ivan Cleary also voiced his frustrations, saying that he believes the Cowboys picked up the ball in an offside position at a certain point, and his side should have got the match-winning penalty.
Yeah.
I can see both point of views. We've been big advocates of the refs not being up to scratch at times, and I think especially in Golden Point, they are very hesitant to blow that whistle. We saw it obviously in the Golden Point game with the Warriors, but they had no choice when Reece kicked it, over the dead ball line. But yeah, I've heard nothing from the NRL about any of it. But yeah, I agree with both. It's just interesting they're
Yeah.
both against each other. So
Well, that's the thing. I think they're both right. The refs did miss a bit, but it was both ways. So I mean, it is. I think in the end of the day, it is what it is, and both sides probably taking away a point each from that game as a fair reflection.
Yeah, so we'll see. We always just want consistency. Next one, this is more interesting. Dark arts, mate. Ballgate, as I'm calling it. So there was footage of the Panthers trainer wetting the ball before kickoffs in that game against the Cowboys. Later on, more footage came out showing that the Cowboys trainer did the same thing once they were in Golden Point, although when he did it, the referee stopped him and took the ball away. Ball tampering or play on? I'm the dark arts advocate here, but you're more the back of the two of us.
Well,
so
what are those trainers doing near the ball?
Yeah,
To begin with, they got no reason to be near the ball to begin with. So not the greatest look. I know it's probably not going to have some effect for sure. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. But yeah, or like Mike said, washing the sweat off could also be something as minor as that. But
just being hygienic. I think there's a bit of gamesmanship in it. It's until the NRL say you're not allowed to, though, it's not against the rules, is it? And then Jack who said cows grizzle about Panthers wearing ball, then they do it. Hilarious stuff. Just stop trainers touching the ball at all. That was my thought. It might be just because I watch American football. Once the players stopped, it's a very stop-start, as you know, with American football. But once the play stops, the player gives the ball to the ref. So there is no tampering. You can't really do that all the time in rugby league, but I'd say like kickoffs, they have the ball ready to go. you could give it to the ref there, or you just come out and say the trainers aren't allowed to touch the ball. It's the players can touch the ball, or the official, and that's it. I don't know. But yeah, as Mike said, it is pretty cheeky. It is cheeky, but it isn't against the rules. So I think play on. But then yeah,
You're
I'm
not
playing
the
a lot play on. I'm not the right one to ask.
barometer. No.
But yeah, I just thought it was funny. I saw it and had a bit of a laugh. So thought we better talk about it. Move on, mate. AJ Brimson. He has been approved to switch his Tier 1 eligibility from Australia to England.
Yeah.
They deemed it was an interesting one. They deemed playing nines for Australia didn't stop him from being able to switch, which is technically the same position Kalen Ponga's in, except Kalen Ponga will risk losing Origin spot, which I think he cares about more than playing for Australia. So I don't think that will happen. But your takes on AJ Brimson switching to England? Does it mean anything to you?
It's definitely very good for England, who already have dangerous players throughout that team. They're starting to get more and more NRL players put their hand up to play for them. Victor Radley. They already got Dom Young, so they're starting to get some NRL players in that team too. So it's definitely going to make them stronger and a problem for teams that Aussie are touring there. If we get a turn to tour there sometime in the near future, I'm sure England will only be stronger for AJ declaring his allegiance to them.
Yeah, I think it's a good move for him. He's not going to get to play internationals if he stayed with Australia. Ideally, he's not going to be the top guy picked, so he gets to get internationals and he still gets to play in the NRL. So I think win-win, and as you said, makes England stronger. And I'm a big advocate for the internationals. So the stronger all the international teams can be, the better it's going to be. So yeah, full credit to him, and be great to see him running around for them at the end of the year when they do that tour. But yeah, we'll move on now. Eels have been rumoured to tell Ryan Madison that he's free to go if he can find a deal. He was doing all right last year, and he's kind of fallen off. I think was he injured this year too? It's always hard to keep track.
I think so, but it's possible he's a little bit out of favour. With they got a new coaching group there, and yeah, maybe he's just not fitting in.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll see if he gets picked up by another team. I'm not sure how many teams are going to be champing at the bit to get a player like him, but most likely he'll find himself over in the Super League. We've got a question. We're going to answer it now. Is lifting players to catch the ball on short dropouts like they do in Union actually illegal in league?
Oh, I don't actually know, mate.
I don't think it's illegal.
Surely someone would have tried it by now, eh? You're on something, Jacko. You might have a spot in a coaching team.
That's good. When I Google trying to find it, all they're talking about is lifting and a tackle.
It's a hell of a question.
Yeah. I can't see it. I can't see that it's illegal, but I can't see that it's allowed.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Because where does it stop then? You could have
It'd
people
be like the old days where you lift them in front of the goalpost to stop conversions and penalties.
Could you imagine the wingers? The attacking team puts up a bomb on the last. The defensive team
lift up your winger. Yeah.
Defensive team sends a couple of lifters for the winger, hoists him up there.
It'd be interesting. Yeah. It'll be a great watch, especially some of these guys, in Union can do it by themselves. They can lift the guy on his own. So you could just have one guy do it. But yeah, and Jacko said, yeah, he doesn't think it's legal, but it would be if a team tried it. Yeah, the moment a team did it, that would be one of those things where they go, it's not in the rule book, but it's going to be now, because they'll say player safety. They'll say the chance of a player being lifted and then getting collided and falling further.
I remember in Union they went through a wee bit of a trend where they were throwing people up to try and block penalty kicks.
Yeah, Troy Flavel used to do it a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, great question. And then Jago said the netball ferns did it and they banned it. Yeah, I think the moment someone does it, they'll ban it. Next bit of news, though. Thank you for the question. This one is interesting. Dom Young, mate. We talked about it last week. So there's been another turn in the Dom Young situation with talks stalling between the Roosters and Knights. Apparently, the clubs are unable to agree on how much each team should be paying him for the move. Roosters coach Trent Robinson came out. Bad HR move, in my opinion. But he came out and accused the Knights of offering Dom a deal and then backtracking. And then the reason I say it's bad HR is this quote he said, if you ask for something, then you stick by it. And they haven't done that, which is a pot calling the kettle black situation due to the fact that the next day they announced that they had let Brandon Smith out of his contract to go to the Rabbits.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because Brandon Smith, he said on his own podcast that he would have liked to stay, but they didn't want him. So there was a contract there, and they were like, we're not sticking with it. We're going to let you go. I know it's probably not an apples for apples situation, but it sounds like the Roosters don't want to pay anything out of the deal, and they want Knights to cover everything. But they also want him off the books. So generally in that situation, you've got to pay some of the money too. And adding to that story, officially announced that Brandon Smith is now no longer a Rooster. So he can join the Rabbits. I haven't seen an announcement from South yet, but we know that's where he's going. So what's your take on all of that and Robinson coming out and airing the dirty laundry?
Yeah, it's no recruitment dramas, hey? It's part of what makes league juicy, I guess. So I don't mind it. I think that's what makes the NRL product a bit more exciting than its union counterpart. So from that point of view, I don't mind it all. But who knows, Brad? There's always a couple of sides to every story. So Dom Young's just found himself in the middle of it.
And then he was trying to allude that the Knights were tampering by speaking to him when he's got a contract. But from what we understand, this all came about because he was told he was free to go if he found a deal, which would open the negotiation table. So makes no sense to me. We'll see if he's moved on by next week or not. And then the last bit of news before we go into signings and stuff was Game 2 of Women's Origin kicks off tomorrow night. Queensland looking to try to level the comp. I'm not sure if it will happen or not. You got any thoughts on Origin, or is it still too early for you, mate?
I'll be supporting New South Wales as I always do, but no, I've just got to make the effort to actually watch it this time.
It would be good. It would be good for the show if you watched some league at some time.
You too, mate.
I'll try my best. It's hard when Millie's not playing, man. I lose the drive.
I know.
So go to signings. We didn't really have many. Matt Croker has signed a 2-year extension to remain at the Knights, and the Dragons have extended Lekan King Togia for another 2 years. That King Togia looks like a decent little player when he played against us on the weekend. So I think that's a good deal. And Matt for the Knights, they get him for next to nothing and keep another player on the roster, which they need to do with all their money going to 2 players. They need to get as many of them as they can.
Poor bugger having to play there, though.
Yeah, it's a hard life. We'll go to injuries. There's a lot. I didn't even get them all. So we talked about Peter Mamouzelos last week with his dislocated elbow. I actually got an update. He's going to be out for 6 weeks.
Yep.
Jason Tomalolo injured his calf and is out for 2. I think that was including last week, so he might only be out for 1 more week. Greg Marju from the Knights is out for 4 weeks after injuring his knee. Bailey Simonson from the Eels fractured his foot and is out for 8 to 10 weeks. Ben Hunt's done his hamstring and he's out for 4 to 6 weeks, ruling him out of Origin as well. Toby Couchman from the Dragons, he has gone for scans on his shoulder. There was an update, I think, but I didn't see it. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks at minimum. He would be out. Jamin Salmon from the Bulldogs fractured his ankle and is out for 10 weeks. And then Matty Nicholson from the Matty Nicholson from the Raiders fractured his fibula and is out for 12 weeks. Massive loss for them because he's been playing really well.
Yeah.
And Ben Hunt, you lose Ben Hunt, but you got Ezra Mann there. So
yeah, it just gave them the reason to bring Mann back.
Yeah. And Greg Marju is a big loss for the Knights, but they haven't really been that great at attacking, so he might not be that missed at the moment. Since he barely gets the ball. And then Naughty Boys, mate, we got none.
That's good.
No suspensions, but there were 9 players fined. I think it said it was like 15 to 18 grand worth of fines, all for head highs and crusher tackles.
Yeah.
And I think one was a dangerous throw. But yeah, first week in a long time, mate, that we haven't. And then Mark Roberts said the couch is out till round 13, 14. So yeah, I feel
Brad
for him, but
Brad doesn't care about Dragons players.
Yeah. So that was it. We may as well get into the round, mate. Starting on Thursday night, the Dolphins defeating the Eels 20 to 16.
Yes, indeed. 3 tries apiece for the Dolphins. Jack Bostock, Connolly Lemuelu, and Herbie Farnworth. For the Eels, Bailey Simonson, Matt Dory, and Dylan Brown. The difference being goal kicking. Jermaine Asako, perfect off the tee. 3 from 3 conversions. 1 from 1 penalty goals. That was the difference.
Yeah, Dolphins started slow and had some issues with their discipline, but came to life for a spell with Katoa, Hammer, and Farnworth creating threats. Had to fight to keep their lead with the Eels coming back late in the contest, but their scrambling D did the trick. Not pretty by any stretch, but when they get into the right mindset and get those strike weapons into play, they're a hard team to stop. And Osako at that kicking tee has me really worried this week.
Yes, he does. Yeah, I thought it was a solid win for the Dolphins. Away from home against the Eels, who I think, despite where they're sitting, they do look a lot better with Moses back. And Dylan Walker added onto their bench. So, yeah, I thought for the Dolphins, I thought Izzy Katoa, again, showing how well he's coming along this year. He was at his best controlling the game and moments of magic from their star centre, Herbie Farnworth. The try he scored where he busted a couple of tackles and did the in and away on Yongi was pretty special. And the hammer, obviously, coming up big both sides of the ball a few times in this game. Got a couple of nice try saves at the end on Dylan Brown, when the game was in the balance. So, I thought it was a good solid win for the Dolphins to get back in the win column.
Yeah, and your thoughts on the Dolphins? Thoughts on the Eels?
The Eels, yeah. Disappointing result from them. Like I was just saying, I feel like they're looking a bit better now that they're get some cattle back. They were so close to leveling late in the game with a couple of breakout plays, only for Hammer scramble defense to save the day. But it's not all doom and gloom for the Eels. I think probably the start of the season they've played their way into no finals footy this year in reality, but I think they've got a good enough roster to peel away from wooden spoon contention. So I don't think it's all bad.
Yeah, the Eels looked like they were going to secure a win here, but they switched off for a period, which left the door open for the Dolphins to come back. Their lack of respect for the ball kept them on the back foot for a spell, but they showed spirit in the final 10, almost securing the win if Dylan Brown had made that final pass to Adokar. I had flashbacks of Logan Swan, mate. It was just there. It was the match winner was right there. All he had to do was pass, but he tried to go himself. Still not a good side, but they've shown that they're more up for the fight now in comparison to the start of the year. And I think a few tweaks, they'll string together a few wins, like you said, get themselves off the bottom of the ladder. It's still, we'll talk about the ladder soon. They're not that far behind everyone else, so a win here or there could be the difference to get them up. But yeah, disappointing though. It was so close yet so far for them. Your player to stand out?
With Izzy Katoa, yeah, he just impresses me. Such a young half. He plays with a much older head on his shoulders, and some of his ball playing is, pretty special. He's got getting some praise from some pretty high places, Andrew Johns and whatnot. So he's looking good this year.
Yeah, he is doing well. Mark Roberts says Lukey Metz is going to take Katoa to school this week, though.
Hopefully.
Bloody hope so. I had a feeling you'd go with Katoa, and I went with Herbie Farnworth. He's such a dangerous player when they actually give him the opportunity to be dangerous. It's felt like he's had the shackles on a lot this year. Yeah. And yeah, you saw with that try, like the stuff he can do. There's not a lot of players out there that can do what he does. So wanted to give him some props here. And he was always dangerous. We'll move to the next game. Friday night, Titans defeating the Knights 24-20.
Yep, 4 tries to 3 for the Titans, 2 for Philip Sami, 2 for AJ Brimson. For the Knights, Dylan Lucas, Fletcher Sharp, Matt Croker.
The Titans, they looked overwhelmed in the first half, making silly errors and poor choices with the ball in hand, while the defense was poor as usual. However, they looked a completely different side in the second half, and the opposite to how we've seen them this year, where they usually drop away. Their attack had more direction, and they never let the Knights get back into the contest. Big Tino carried the side on his back up the middle. I think he ended up running for the most meters for the Titans. He was on like 274, I think, which is crazy numbers. And yeah, Sami and Brimson looked unstoppable once they got the ball in space. Need to play for 80 if they want to continue to get wins, but an impressive bounce back from them. Your thoughts on the Titans?
Oh yeah, fantastic comeback. Wasn't always great. They did concede a massive lead in the first half and left themselves with a lot of work to do to pull back the lead. But yeah, they stayed in the fight. They chipped away and they managed to turn things around to the point where they were just chipping away, and then they finally got ahead towards the end through Brimson. So fantastic win. You don't normally associate those kind of wins with the Titans. They're normally on the losing end of that type of game. So and having Jaden Campbell back in the frame too helps the Titans out a lot. He makes a big difference.
Yeah, and your thoughts on the Knights?
Obviously, they'll be massively disappointed to let that one slip at home. They scored the opening 3 tries and pushed up to a 20-0 lead. So it looked like their attacking woes had gone away, but that they just seemed to implode the moment the Titans were able to finally crack their line. And then the second half, it was all one-way traffic. So yeah, to blow a lead like that at home, I think it's going to put the spotlight even further on, obviously, the playing group, but Adam O'Brien as well.
Yeah, I think you're just trying to get that into the universe so you can get that prediction right. Jacko said,
he's doing it too, yeah.
Yeah, he said a week nearer to O'Brien's inevitable departure, and Jack also said Knights are simple, awful. They look like they don't give a shit. Yeah, kind of get that just from them, but they look set at the beginning. That first half hour, they look set to have a commanding win here. But in that second half, they just couldn't hold on to the ball, and everything they tried seemed to go wrong. This team is far too good on paper to be doing this poorly, so I think attitude does come into question.
Yeah.
And I feel for their fans having to sit there and watch the capitulation live. Shocking. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's gone wrong with that team. And I don't see Dylan Brown fixing it next year.
No.
Putting the future hat on. Your player to stand out?
I had to go AJ. Just thought he was at his dangerous best in this one.
Yeah, I went AJ as well. He looked really good, really sharp. And yeah, very happy for him and well done, Titans. We'll move on to the next game, mate. Rabbits defeating the Broncos 22-14.
What a great game. 3 tries to 2 for the Rabbits. Saliva Havili, Isaiah Tass, and Latrell Mitchell. For the Broncos, Jordan Ricky, and Dean Mariner.
Yeah, and what was the theme of the round? The Rabbits started slow, looked out of their depth for the first 40 minutes, making too many errors, which is a trend with the Rabbits. They found their groove in that second 40, though, and things just started to click. They swung momentum and broke the Broncos down. Valiant display, like so many other sides that we've already talked about and will continue to talk about. They need to be able to play 80 minutes to be taken seriously. But yeah, credit where credit's due. Your thoughts on the Rabbits?
Yeah, tough first half. So whatever it was that Wayne had to say at halftime seemed to really do the trick. I thought some of their forwards put in some big shifts there in that second half that allowed their biggest star to do what not many others in the game can do. I thought he was amazing in that late in that game when the game was on the line. He's definitely the one that was putting his hand up for the ball and he made every opportunity a winner. So, and he finished with a very cheeky and controversial try. But I love that. I just thought it was a dagger. He's putting the dagger further in. It was quite cool to watch.
Yeah, I talk about that a bit in my Broncos wrap up. But your thoughts on the Broncos?
More heartache and a very up and down start to the season for the Broncos. They looked very solid in the first half, but really struggled to contain the Bunnies when the momentum swung. The pressure will very much now be on the Broncos if they want to keep pace with the top 4 race, if they still want to consider themselves part of that group.
Yeah, and I think it's no spoiler who we've probably picked for our player to stand out. But Jacko said Latrell's the biggest enigma I've seen. Very average one week, then a leader, the highest order the next. Yeah, consistency is the thing with him. He can be dog average one week and then the best player in the world. He needs to find that healthy medium in between, which, that goes back to a lot of people that say he's very lazy. He will do amazing things if things go his way, but if they don't, he won't fight for it. I'm not out there with him, so I can't say how accurate that is. We can only say what we see. But yeah, he's frustrating to watch at times because, he's crazy good and then crazy bad. But Broncos, they looked the better side in the first half with some nice attacking plays. But once they started to face some adversity, they just wilted. They're currently the definition of a flat track bully. They're the best in the comp when everything's running downhill, but they lack heart and desire. In my personal opinion, we can't say that for a fact. A big indicator of that, though, was Latrell's try in the dying stages. Brisbane had given up. They didn't. That's how he was able to do what he did because they weren't even trying. If they want to be a contender this year, like I had predicted before the season started, they need to find inner drive. That's all it is. It's that the ticker. They've got no ticker.
Yeah, that's fair.
And until they find that, when push comes to shove, we'll talk about it in our the Warriors game and a few of these other teams that we've seen. Heart's what's getting them across the line. You know, they might not be playing better than their opponents, but because they are a bit opposite of what Jacko said about the Knights, if they look like they give a shit and are actually just putting it all out there, it gets you results. So a lot of work for Madge to try to find that. Jacko's kind of said the same. Said Bronx have a soft underbelly, which, giving their roster and coach, is hard to understand. Yeah, this team is far too good, and they've got hearty players in there. Your Payne Haas, your Carrigans. I just don't know what's going on there, and I honestly don't know how many years if they will fall away here and then they look like they're not improving next year. Do you already give Madge the flick?
That's a tough one because they don't.
I'm not saying at the end of this year, like if they miss finals or they go out in straight sets or something, you sack him now. But like if it looks like next year there's no improvement, is that when you start having the conversation?
He would start feeling some pressure for sure because they don't like missing finals in Brisbane.
No. But yeah, we had to see player to stand out.
Latrell.
Latrell, yeah,
really stood up massively in that second half. Both sides of the ball too. The amazing try saver. The massive 2-point field goal. The try, perfect off the tee. Just a really top draw performance.
Yeah, I went with him too. It felt like everything he touched just worked this week. But yeah, as Jacko said before, he has been able to be like that every week. It would make the Rabbits' life a lot easier. We'll go to the next game, Matt. Bulldogs defeating the Raiders 32-20. Sorry, Simon.
Yeah, that second half would have been tough. 6 tries to 4 for the Dogs. Stephen Crichton, Jamin Salmon with the interesting celebration. Marcelo Montoya, Max King, Viliami Kakao, and Jacob Carraz. For the Raiders, Zach Hosking, Kyle Weeks, Xavier Savage, and Hudson Young.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I wrote the doggies off at halftime. I thought the real dogs had shown up with another poor performance against the top side. We saw them struggle against the Bronx, then playing their next big test with the Raiders, and it looked like, they're definitely just flat track bullies, like I just labeled the Bronx. But they shoved that in my face with a crazy second half. They were relentless with the ball in hand, ripped the Raiders apart, and scoring 32 unanswered points in a half's no easy feat. And I may have to finally believe that they're the real deal. And they did it with some of their key players not there as well. So very impressive. Your thoughts on the doggies?
Yeah, they obviously very poor start. I don't know what was in the air this round, but yeah, terrible start. But then their second half was out of this world. Crichton again, backing up his big game last week, was outstanding in this game again. His form's really starting to pick up as we get closer and closer to rep footy time. But yeah, again, they stepped up with some key players missing and really delivered in that second half when it mattered. So it's hard not to take this team seriously now.
Yeah, and your thoughts on the Raiders?
Yeah, unbelievable first half from the Raiders. I thought they were about to take full advantage of the Dogs having a few players suspended, and then halftime happened, and it was just an avalanche of momentum and points that the Raiders couldn't stop. So I don't know what happened in the second half, but they'll be really disappointed, and I think they're a far better team than that, and we'll learn lessons from it. But yeah, just a very weird round, Brad. I don't know what was happening at halftime in these games.
Yeah, and Jacko said he hates the Dogs, but they're looking very good. Yeah, they're looking great. It's hard to deny it. But yeah, Raiders. I thought the Raiders were great in the first half. They were testing the Doggies' defense, which a lot of people, ourselves included, have praised their defense, and they made scoring look simple through it. Then Sticky's old friend, the Fade, returned. We used to have the faders all the time, and it came back, and they just looked the polar opposite in the second half. They were making too many errors. Their defense was just full of holes. Perhaps they may have got a little complacent, and they got punished for it. I know mentally, if you go into the sheds with a big lead, it can have an effect on you and how you play. So glass half full, if you can take positives out of this loss, it's that it's a wake-up call and they'll bounce back. And Simon said the boys really let Ricky down at the second half. Just look for a big bounce back this week, I guess. Player to stand out. I think we picked the same guy again, mate.
Yeah, we had Stephen Crichton. Just thought he's been really, really good the past few weeks.
Yeah, he's great. I know everyone was praising him, running with the ball, palming the ball and like going around. Yeah. He was just playing like me, mate. It was crazy. Fantastic player. And you're seeing these guys, the Crichtons, the Latrells, Origin call-ups just around the corner, and they're actually, putting some big performances out there to let Laurie Daly know. If Laurie Daly even bloody watches league, I don't know, mate. It was sometimes how he picks teams.
It's hard to tell, yeah.
We'll move on to the next game. Warriors beating the Dragons 15-14.
Yeah, these are getting hard, mate. We were actually outscored 3-2 in this one. For the Dragons, Clint Gutherson, Dylan Egan, Corey Allen. And for the Wires, Luka Metcalf, Tane Tuapiki, and again, kicking. 1 from 2 conversions for Metcalf, 2 from 2 penalties, and a field goal.
Cheeky field goal, mate.
Came up trumps.
Yeah, the Warriors' attack was a bit more clunky again this week compared to that first half last week where it looked like everything was working. But they set themselves up for success early on, but they got those second half wobbles again, and I was really panicking after what we just watched with the last few games with the super comebacks. And they struggled to regain momentum after the Dragons got a roll on. Edge defense was suspect with old Dallin having a rough night in his first game this year. But credit where credit's due. Metcalf nailed the field goal that ended up being the match winner. And it's good to see him on a personal level grow as the Warriors shot caller. But like all those other sides I've criticized, Warriors, my team, I'll criticize them too. They need to play for 80. You're not going to survive playing, 40, 45 minutes of footy against top teams.
We saw that.
The positive though is that when you tighten those screws and it's a real pressure cooker situation, the Warriors don't fall apart. They seem to be able to solidify and work together, which I think is a real positive. You're not going to win a lot of games that you get outscored try-wise. So, put this one in there. We got the win, and then hopefully get some more try sticking. Before I ask you about the Dragons, Jacko said Met showed some real nous with the early field goal, putting scoreboard pressure back on the Dragons that they couldn't handle. Yeah, that was exactly right. As soon as the pressure was on the Dragons that they needed to score points, that's where they kind of fell apart. Perfect play from him. Reminded me, we haven't talked about it in a while, rugby league games coming out soon. It reminded me of my cheek hat in rugby league when if you couldn't break through, you just did a quick field goal. You got a point and then you got the ball back. And he also said we seem to drop markedly when Clark's off the field. Yeah, Aaron Clark has been an absolute beast this year. I really regret not picking him as my signing of the year. I thought we probably will win. I think I got it wrong. I picked out of AFB, and I think Terrell and Aaron Clark are above him.
Yeah, definitely.
Aaron's been amazing, and I'm hoping this week we'll talk about in the team naming. We've got James Fisher-Harris back. I feel like as long as you've got 2 out of the 3 out of Fisher-Harris, Clark, and Barnett, as long as you've got 2 of the 3 on there, I think they'll be okay. Right.
Yeah.
But I feel like Aaron could play 80 though. I've given him 80
so.
Webby doesn't answer my calls no more, mate. So Dragons,
No, I haven't even done the Warriors yet.
Oh, you haven't done the Warriors? Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
Warriors,
No,
mate. Go for the Warriors.
I was going to say Jacko kind of stole my thunder, but there anyway. Great minds think alike. Definitely a tale of two halves for us. Again, our first half really good. Then in the second half, things started to swing the Dragons' way. We made errors and made our own lives hard, but we did well to steady ourselves and keep composure. I really like the call to go for the field goal early and play from in front. That's where me and Jacko are aligned. I thought that was the right call. They weren't expecting it that early, I think, and their kick pressure probably wasn't as quick as it would have been had there been 2 or 3 minutes left in the game. So to take it early when we were right in front of the post and it had an easier shot, and then play from in front and just seeing people like Kyle Flanagan. I'm not going to solely blame him. Just the Dragons in general. But their shot callers didn't execute as well as Lukey Met did. So
yeah, and Bjorn's got a good question, which we'll talk about. I'll show it now, but we'll talk about it when we get to the ladder because it's easier to say. But yeah, your thoughts on the Dragons?
I thought they hung in there long enough to turn the tide and come home strong with their home crowd behind them. But yeah, definitely the poor start hurt them, and the lack of composure to close up the game once it went level, and then once we nudged ahead by one. It's they're losing all these close games. I wrote down they're becoming the best in the league at losing close games.
I think wasn't this their like second or third game this year? They lost by 1 point.
It is, yeah, that's right. So they're not far off. You reverse the results in those 3 games, and they're right up near the top. So I know, Brad. It might hurt to hear, but it's the truth. So I think to pick up for the boys to scrape home and grind out that win at a venue we traditionally struggle, I was really happy with it.
They're only 2 points away from the wooden spoon, mate. It's still there.
It's a tight comp.
The Dragons just couldn't hold on to the ball. But to their credit, they didn't give up. They saw Dallin struggling and started to target his edge, and they were rewarded. They won momentum. We're caught napping on that field goal. I can't believe they gave Luke that much time. But it's, as everyone said, going for an early field goal isn't really in anyone's mind. When you're defending, you kind of used to them not doing it till the very last minute, so you can catch them napping. And then, like everyone said, when the pressure was back on them there, when they were a point behind and the game was on the line, they just couldn't get anything together. I don't know how many more players Flanagan's going to drop before he drops the sun, but we'll see. And I think this is a game like all those other 1 point losses they've had. They're going to regret slipping further down the line when they get given that wooden spoon. And Jagger said, we've only had one home game before the bye. After the last 2 away games, travel fatigue could set in and we could drop a game or 2. Yeah, we've got one more this week, and then we've got a home game, and then I think we're back over there again. It's been a long time since I've got to sit in my seat, mate. It feels weird. It's been a very long time, but yeah, your play to stand out.
I went Luca again. I don't think he hit the heights of last week, but his kicking a lot better this week, and the field goal showing he's got that in his game, which is, and that's the half job, isn't it? When the game's in that situation, step up, ask for the ball, and execute. So I thought that was it was really good from Metcalf.
Simon said Auckland FC making the Warriors play games away. Just wondering. I don't think it's that. It's just the way the schedule was. I think we complained about the draw where there was a big patch where the Warriors were playing away, and then the second and third bye being really close together. It's a weird draw. But yeah, I don't think Auckland FC have been the issue. I think they are. I don't watch that game, but I think they're pushing for a home final, and I don't know how that's going to go with Warriors games. I don't know if it clashes or not, but we'll see. And Bjorn said he's at the game this weekend. As promised a few weeks back, I'll boo Pompey the Great on your behalf. Yeah, no, I like it when it's only me booing. I still do it now. It's part of my routine on game day. But he's been playing great this year. I looked, I do the 3-2-1s, mate. He is third at the moment in my 3-2-1s of Warrior of the Year. So personal bias aside, I rate him when he plays well, and he's been doing it. My player to stand out, I went with Mitch Barnett. It's
Fantastic.
part of my obligation to my missus, mate, since she loves the man. I got to give him props, and she watches these games with me now. And so I hear every minute what he's doing when I'm trying to watch the game. But he was great again, and there was a good article about him last week about, the player he's become since coming here and, getting thrown captaincy, but getting told you're going to be co-captain with James Fisher-Harris. And it's like, takes some of the pressure off, and then James gets injured and you're out there being the sole guy again. And he just gets in and does the hard yards.
He's leading so well.
Yeah, always puts up good numbers, and yet never lets the side down. And Bjorn said Origin bound Mitch. Yeah, I know it was a bit of a surprise for us that he got the call up last year. He has to be there this year. I don't see how he couldn't. So
has to be.
And he's another. I know we're trying to do as much homegrown talent as we can, but he's another big advertisement for Aussies to come here. That there's still the old thing in the back of their mind that you come to the Warriors and all those other accolades you can get as an NRL player go away, like Origin, Kangaroos and everything. He came over here never in conversation for Origin, and now he's an Origin player, got to play for the Kangaroos. So it's a great thing showing that, being over here doesn't stop you getting those big call-ups. So and Simon said next week the Auckland FC on a Saturday, and the Warriors are understanding. I think next week we play on Sunday. So if Auckland FC is on Saturday, we're on Sunday. And then Simon said he just noticed on the fixtures that this is home. It's a bit ridiculous how they have a home game next week, but the week after back in another away game. It's crazy. I know there was a lot of talk about they want to try to make. They were talking potentially about the Perth team, saying they shouldn't have to travel all the way to Auckland, and Auckland shouldn't have to travel all the way to Perth. They already do that in other comps, so I don't see the issue. But that's just I'm trying to ramble to make us go longer, mate. I apologize. We'll go to the next game, the boomer game of the round, mate. Panthers Cowboys 30-all.
Yeah, crazy game. Was 5 tries apiece for the Cowboys. Jeremiah Nanai, Viliami Valea, Jake Clifford, Robert Derby, and Tommy Dearden. For the Panthers, Isaiah Papali'i, Luke Garner had 2, Thomas Jenkins, and Blaise Talangi. And both kickers 5 from 5 from conversions. Crazy game.
Yeah, fantastic game here. Millie with no horse in the race, so I could just enjoy it for the spectacle it was. The Panthers look to be slowly getting back to what we normally expect. They looked a bit more like the Panthers of old, but again, they are playing the Cowboys, so you would expect a lot more out of it. They controlled the middle, and with all eyes on Cleary, Blaise Talangi stepped up and just kept putting players over the line. I think, out of the 5 tries, he set up 4. So great for him, finally starting to shine there like we kind of predicted that he would do when they announced that he was signing there. Defense still has a lot of work to do, and they just couldn't execute in overtime. Still a long way to go before we see the scary Panthers again, but it looks like they're heading in the right direction at least. Your thoughts on the Panthers?
Yeah, their attack looked decent again this week, especially with Blaze turning up, as you said, Brad. They scored 5 tries. He set up 4 of them and then scored the 5th one himself. So he really showed up and showed off his ball playing ability and running game, and that they can be really effective for the Panthers. But unfortunately, again for the Panthers, their defense seems to be a long way off where they have been for so long. I know the Cowboys are a really hard team to stop when they get their attack game going. But yeah, I've seen too many times this year the Panthers conceding 20, 30 points in a game. It's just not like them.
Yeah, and Jack, I said Panthers are still way off. When they've been losing players for Origin will hurt their chance of even making the top 8. Yeah, I think I said that a few weeks ago that they can't afford to lose too many more games, and Origin will be a big test for them. Because usually it's by the time they get to Origin, those Origin affected games, they're like, if they lose, they can drop one. But at the moment, they can't. And then Bjorn asked, when do we play them?
Around that Origin time, I think.
Yeah, I think we playing them on the 21st of June here. It's a Saturday, and I think that is around Origin, so that's potentially is an Origin affected Panther side.
One of the Origin games this year is in Perth, is it not?
I think it is. It might. Is it? It'll be the second one, wouldn't it?
Because I heard somewhere that
18th of June they're playing in Perth.
So I heard that we're playing the Panthers off the back of that game. So it's a couple of days later, and they're having to travel from Perth to Auckland. There's
no way they're going to do that. There's no way those guys will back up.
No,
if they do, it would be a hell of an effort. But I don't see Ivan getting them all the way from Perth all the way to Auckland to play. And to be honest, with how they've been playing at the moment, even if all those players were there playing at Mount Smart, I don't know if they'll beat them.
What day of the week is that? Is that game here at Mount Smart? Friday or Saturday?
It's Saturday.
Okay, so they get an extra day. So Wednesday to Saturday, Perth to Auckland. That's a tough ask.
Yeah, and Bjorn said neither with Mitch though, but we can cover one. Yeah, see, covering Mitch Barnett, he would be a big loss, but it's not. You think what they've got, they're going to have what? Cleary, Yo, To'o.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be a few others that will get picked up too. They're kind of losing all their Origin players at the moment because they're all leaving for other clubs. But those are the main 3 that will definitely be gone. What's his face?
Liam Martin.
Yeah, you knew who what's his face was. Well done.
You take those guys out of the team, that's a completely different side.
Yeah. So yeah, I think if they don't, they might not survive through Origin period. And yeah, Bjorn said all backs, Brad. Do they really? Yeah, they don't. You don't really need backs. You can get anyone. Get the water boy out there to put one of those little jerseys on, and you won't notice. But yeah, so getting sidetracked. Cowboys, mate. What were your thoughts on the Cowboys?
Yeah, again, they just seem to be a second half team, and when they switch on, their attack, some of the best attack in the comp. It's just their defense and their inability to play for 80 minutes. It's really letting them down this year.
Yeah, and Jacko said, don't be too sure Daly may not even pick Barnett. That's true too. Daly it's a new coach. He might decide that Barnett isn't. Yeah, he might go, no, he's at the Warriors, man. He can't play Origin. He's a New Zealander. Daly gets confused.
He can't be that stupid, surely.
But yeah, Cowboys, man. I gave them no chance here. I know Panthers haven't been traveling well, but I was like, surely the Panthers will be able to towel up the Cowboys. But the Cowboys just kept fighting tooth and nail to stay in the match. Very error-prone, but plenty of heart on display. And after an absolute shocking performance that just made me feel sorry for him, Derby finally got across the line. And you saw the Cowboys lift after that, and it was enough to get them into extra time, but just like the Panthers, they couldn't find that little extra something to secure the win. They'll be disappointed in not getting the upset win here, but this draw could actually just be a confidence booster they need to start climbing the ladder. They can take a lot of positives out of it, and there's negatives, obviously, but, thought it was a great performance from them when I don't expect much out of them. Your player to stand out?
I had to go Blaze.
I went Blaze too. 4 tries. So it was hard when you score, like you said, set up 4 tries and then score the 5th yourself. But yeah, thought he's been doing really well. It surprised me that he wasn't in the halves from day dot as soon as he was available. But he's really showing his groove. And the other young guy, I can't remember his name. I don't see him coming in to replace Blaze anytime soon.
No.
And Jagger said Cowboys have dropped Clifford. They got Purdue in the halves this week.
Purdue. Yeah, they're moving Purdue to the halves.
So it's interesting to see a player dropped after a draw, but Peyton dropped the other young half to bring Clifford in, and that young half was actually doing all right. So yeah, I don't know. Peyton, he's a bit strange sometimes, mate. First game on Sunday. We probably don't have to talk about this one for too long. It'll probably take longer saying all the try scorers. But the Storm defeating the Tigers 64-0.
I was just going to say that. It's going to take longer to read all of these out. 11 tries to 0 for the Storm. Ryan Pappenhausen hit a lot. 4, I think. 4. Josh King.
Almost had a 5th, mate. Almost had a 5th.
Yeah, almost had a 5th. Josh King, Jerome Hughes, Nick Meaney, Big Nasty, Ali Katoa, Cam Munster, and Bronson Garlick.
Yeah,
no tries for the Tigers.
Nothing. Amazing show put on by the Storm here, led by Pappenhausen. They just couldn't be stopped. That's true. Got a bit more humble on there. Jake said, "Don't laugh. We know how the Tigers feel after a few trips to Melbourne." Yeah, it's not a laughing at them in a mocking way. It's laughing because I know their pain.
Yeah.
They just couldn't be stopped, the Storm, though. They ripped the Tigers to shreds and made it look like a training run. Had a lot of errors, but that was just down to the way they were playing. They were playing very loosey-goosey footy once, the game was well and truly over. I'm not going to say at halftime because we've seen big comebacks already this week, but when they just, the first 10 minutes in the second half, they already scored 2 more tries. It was over and they were just thrown around. Despite not being top of the ladder right now, they're very close, admittedly. They're still the best team in the comp, in my opinion, and I expect more monster scores in the future out of them. Bjorn also said this game for the Tigers reminded me of Brad's coaching days with the under-13s. That was how it felt like watching every week. And Jago said, how is Paps not an Origin talk? That was going to be my question to you because you're the New South Welshman, but I took it away. It's crazy to believe that a player that good's never played Origin. I don't understand it.
To be fair, they're just too stacked with fullbacks in that state.
You could put them anywhere. You could throw them on the wing.
You could, but then they've got good wingers as well.
Yeah, there's no.
I know what you mean. He'd be fit. I'm sure if he got picked, he'd do a fantastic job.
But yeah, your thoughts on the Storm?
I just think the Storm are ready to put a score on any team that came to Melbourne this week. The way they lost to the Raiders last week, I think it would have really annoyed them, especially Bellamy. And after a week of living with that, playing at home, I think they were always going to be very much up for this game. And yeah, what more can you say? 11 tries to zip. Training run, absolute training run.
What do you think of the footage of Harry Grant trying to get Bellamy to smile?
Very funny.
He still looks such a sourpuss at the end. Like they're wiping the floor with him, and he still was unhappy. Which
he does not smile.
It's what makes him a great coach, though. Where he is still upset at little things they're doing wrong when they're ahead by 60 points.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the Tigers? Do you have anything at all? Or?
Yeah, more sympathy than anything. I thought games like this might be out of the Tigers, but they just ran into a Storm team that can do this when they're on. It very much reminded me of us conceding 70 to them. And I thought on that day we were a decent team on paper. So yeah, I don't know how much you write into this from the Tigers. They're obviously a way better side than that. They just ran into the Storm on the wrong day, and I think if anything, I'm more interested to see how they bounce back this week.
Yeah, can't say much about the poor old Tigers. Yeah, I don't. This is an anomaly, like I do with when the Warriors play them. Like we can be the best team in the comp, and then we'll go play the Storm and get towed up, and then the next week go back to being the best team in the comp. It's just something the Storm can do. But yeah, so I'm not like sitting here going Tigers are done now. They'll still be competitive, but in this they were just spectators, and the Storm never gave them a chance. As you already said, I feel like any of the other 16 teams in the NRL going up against the Storm on this day, this still would have happened. But yeah, not the Tigers we've got used to watching this year. And there's almost to say they just got to swallow it up and move on. Focus on this week. And yeah, Jacko said Bellyache's always good in the presser after games. He had a grumpy guy during the game. Yeah, everything you see outside of game day in that little booth, he seems like the most chill, nice dude. And then the moment he gets in that little glass box, he's just a little Tasmanian devil, just so upset. But yeah, all the other stuff you see, he seems like a great dude. You never hear anything bad from his players about him. He's just very passionate about the game, which you can't fault. Player, who was your player to stand out, mate?
Pepe, had to go Pepe.
Yeah, hard not to. I was riding him because he was in my fantasy team, and I was hoping he'd get a fifth try to help me potentially win my game, but wasn't to be. And Bjorn said at least 4 teams have been hammered by the Storm in first half this year already. Scare if they play for 80 like they did here. Yeah, and that's it. Most of it was just strong 40s where they put a big score on and they took the foot off the gas. This one they didn't. What it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tries in the first half, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the second. So almost like for like. So yeah, crazy scary. Last game, Sharks defeating the Seagulls 30-14.
Yes, 5 tries to 2 for the Sharks. Ronaldo and Mulitalo had 2. Adam Fanua-Blake, Braden Trindle, and KL Edel. For Manly, we had Tolu Kola crossing twice.
Yeah, slow and steady approach here for the Sharks, and it worked. It was just a great display of pressure, I thought. The forwards bullied Manly, and then Trindle and Hines just started targeting Seagulls' weak spots and setting up those tries. Billy Burns was in there getting a few try assists of his own. Barely know who the hell he was before this game, but all I could bloody hear on the TV was his name. They didn't lose their cool when Manly scored 2 quick tries and just got back to work. Again, nothing flashy, but just accurate footy. And that's what's going to let them climb the ladder. Just try to find consistency in their actions and, don't rely too much on the flashy stuff. Your thoughts on the Sharks?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good win from the Sharks. I thought this would be a very tough matchup for them at 4 Pines Park. Yeah, but I feel like the Sharks really controlled this one from start to finish. The forwards got the better of things, and we know off the back of that they've got some exciting backs, and I think Hines is starting to get into some nice form now as well, and starting to produce what we know he can. And yeah, they look good when they turn it on like this. So obviously not like what we just saw from the Storm the game before, but very sound though, very sound win.
Yeah, and your thoughts on Manly?
Not sure what's gone wrong here for Manly. They're normally a very good home team, but they just didn't show up for this one and looked really clunky throughout, and defensively not where they want to be as well, conceding 30 at home. But yeah, strange one for Manly. They're a very hard team to get a read on this year. One of a few teams that are just very hard to tip.
Yeah, they barely fired a shot here, Old Manly. Made it look like another second half comeback was on the cards after coming out fast in that second half, but they're just too error-prone and ill-disciplined. We've said it before, but the team doesn't seem to be clicking, and that's just what Jacko's just commented as well, saying the DC leaving saga is hurting Manly. They look very disjointed now. Yes, exactly what we got it here. They don't seem to be clicking, and they need to sort out those issues, whatever is not working, if they want to win consistently. Yeah, you can be upset at the fact that DC's leaving, most likely going to the Roosters, who don't need him, which we could talk about that at length. But you could be shitty as a teammate that he's leaving, but you got to suck it up and move on. Why derail your own season because a player's leaving? It doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, they need to sort something, otherwise they will going to go. It was that cliche. They're two different teams. The team that plays at 4 Pines and the team that goes elsewhere. The team that goes elsewhere is now performing at 4 Pines, which they can't have. They need I don't know what they got to do, but they got to do something to get back in stride, because they just look like a whole team of individuals right now. Your player to stand out?
She went one out of the box. Mulitalo got a couple of tries. He seems to be getting back to his annoying best. He likes to get under people's skin. Thought he was good here.
I went with Billy Burns. As I said, couldn't even tell you who he was if I hit him with my car. I thought he was great. He was getting some nice little try setups there and looked really good. So I had to give him the shout. Bjorn said he joined late. Do you believe the rumors he may go to the Roosters before June 30? Oh, potentially. The Roosters have made way with Brandon Smith early. If they can get Dom Young off the books, if, like Jacko said, if this leaving saga is hurting Manly, they may look at it and go, look, it's affecting us. Let's just get rid of him now. So I wouldn't put it past them. But again, the Roosters don't need him. They got Sam Walker's yet to come back. Their halves are doing really well, the young halves they got. And I feel like it could be a situation where they bring him in for, it's not a 1-year deal. You bring him in, you potentially lose one of those young guys, and then they're back to the problem they got at the moment, where they're just bringing people in and losing the young talent. And Bjorn said, don't be driving your BMW into footy players, Brad. Man, I wish I had a BMW. I'm not going to say bad things about my car because it might hear me and break down again. But yeah, that was the round, mate. So we'll go to the ladder, which will bring us to Bjorn's question. I'm trying. That's as best as I'm going to get before I screw it up. So I went top 8 last week, so you do top 8 this week.
Yep. Bulldogs first. Warriors move up to second. Clear second place. Outstanding. Storm in third. Raiders in fourth. Sharks move up to fifth. Cowboys move up to sixth. Broncos seventh. And Manly Seagulls round out the top 8.
That was the only positive out of the Raiders losing, was that it secured a second place outright. Yeah. The rest of the teams, we've got the Roosters moved up to 9th. Tigers went down to 10th. Rabbits moved up to 11. Dolphins up to 12. Dragons down to 13. Knights down to 14. Titans up to 15, Panthers down to 16, and then Eels stayed the same, dead last. So as I said, it's real tight still. A couple of losses and a couple of wins below them. Dragons are right back in the mix, forward and spoon. But Bjorn's question, mate. So he said, Warriors are top 4 now, but we haven't played or won versus other top 5 teams. Do you think we'll compete or be like 2023? Jacko already mentioned it earlier as well. Some of the teams we beat were in that top 4 spot when we beat them. It's just they're falling down. So We beat Manly. They were in the top 4. And I'm pretty sure when we beat the Broncos, they were top 4 as well.
Yeah.
But they're obviously not there at the moment. We lost to the Storm and we lost to the Raiders. I think we can beat the Raiders at Mount Smart, especially Matty Nicholson's out by the time we play them in 2 weeks. He won't be there. I think we can beat them at home. Sharks, I think we can beat. Bulldogs, I reckon we could beat if we've got the right mindset. That one will be tough. And we just beat the Cowboys, who were 6th. So I think it's not as bad as 2023. But yeah, the only team out of the top 5 that I wouldn't put money on us beating is the Storm. Not writing off the Bulldogs by any means. I think if the Bulldogs play like they did against the Raiders, the Warriors would be in trouble. But I think in the right mindset, I think we could do it. So yeah, I think it's a better team. It's the mental toughness, I think, that it's really shone this year, that I think will be that difference maker when it comes to playing those top sides. And Mike said 2002 all over again. Yeah, we'll see. They're in a good spot. They're in a spot I wouldn't have predicted us being in. I think, what did I say? I think I said if we play really well, we might make 10th. Still a lot of time in the season, and they could rise or fall. Not too much further to rise at the moment, admittedly. But yeah, I think they've done more than enough to be confident to say they're going to be playing finals at least. Where they sit in that 8, we'll find out. But yeah, they're looking good at the moment. And Jacko said, agreed, only Storm are well ahead of us. The rest we can beat on our day. Yeah. And Bjorn said, we've broken some hoodoos this year. Hopefully we can knock off the current Storm one. That's it for us. I think we don't play the Storm again this year until finals, if we meet up with them in finals.
And our record against them in finals is different.
Undefeated in finals against the Storm, mate. So, and Simon said, I think this table would be perfect if West Tigers were in 9th instead of the Roosters. Yeah, it's almost where it should be. But yeah, it's interesting ladder. We'll go into fantasy teams, mate. No one can really read it because it's hard, and Paul hasn't taught me how to Zoom. But
it doesn't matter.
You got 758 for a rank of 123,214. You were garbage.
Thank you.
Garbage, mate. Not much to say there. And I ended up on 924, thanks in part to Ryan Pappenhausen getting 100 in fantasy. That helped me out. He got me a big share because some of my other players didn't do well, like Garrick and Tamale. And Corey Horsburgh bloody got late scratching, so I had to bring Sean Kepi into my side, which didn't help. But that's it for that. Tipping comp. I don't even want to talk about it, mate. Most people... Oh, there we go. Still probably can't read it. But your boy, Matt, he is now top of the pops, leading on 51. Also, ACT Halka and Michael Parzuda are both on 51 as well for 2nd and 3rd. Harry Poppins got a big 5, top scored this round. Bjorn asked, did Richie even have a full team fantasy? No, he didn't.
No, I didn't.
He doesn't know how to play the game properly.
That was an admin error on my behalf.
So Harry Poppins on 4th, MB Sports Fan 5th, the Urk 6th. You're up to 7th, mate. You are beating Bjorn now. So because Bourne's at 8. Simon is all the way down to 9th now. The boy from SMB 10th, Roscoe 11th, Hammer is 12th, and I am dead last. Never thought it would happen, mate. I feel I've shamed my family.
You got to use your joker. Get yourself up there.
I'm going to wait. I'm waiting. And Brill said, yeah, quickly dropping now. I am so far out of the loop. I'm still going to make finals. I'm going to make that 8. That's my goal. Winning it, I think, is out of the question now, but we'll see. As I said to you before the show, I am not confident in my picking at the moment to even use a joker. So yeah, I'm gonna wait, I think, until I feel a bit better. So we'll go to questions. We've already asked questions in the group. So we may as well just go to ours.
Yep.
Your question to me. We'll go with yours first.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's your ideal backline selection with what we have available now? Talking Warriors' point of view. Assume RTS is available this week.
Yep. Yeah, so RTS is available in it. I actually completely forgot what I had as my team when I did my review this week, and I said who I'd pick because I changed it around. But if RTS is available and everyone's there, I want Tane Tuapiki still. I have Tane Tuapiki at fullback. My wings are Roger and Dallin. My centers are Pompey and Chance. I know that's a lineup we're never going to see. Webby will not do it. It seems like he's got a blood contract with Chance, that Chance will always only be fullback. But that's what I do. That way we get Chance, we get Roger, we get Dallin, but we also keep Tuapiki. But we know what's going to happen. It's going to be Dallin, Rog, Chance as your back three, and then Pompey and I guess Capewell until someone's back from injury in the centres.
RTS.
I don't think they're going to put RTS in the centres, though.
No, not even ahead of Capewell.
No, I don't think so. I controversial take. I think Capewell's a better centre than Roger was.
I know we had this discussion during the week.
Yes.
Oh, I don't see it. No, he's fine. He plugs a gap, Capewell, but I just, yeah. Whenever I've seen him play centre this year, the winger playing outside him looks very, very keen to come in, almost like they don't trust his lack of pace.
Unfortunately, that's because it was Dallin, and Dallin loves doing that even if he's got the best centre in the world inside of him. He loves to rush in.
But Tane was doing it too.
Yeah, well, Tane's got to. He's so small, man. He's got to try to rush in and get surprise attack in his tackling. But yeah, so what would you... So you got RTS at centre?
I was Tane at fullback too, but I'm actually fine at the moment with what Chance is doing at fullback, mainly because our X factor's coming from other places like Metcalf. We've got an X factor player playing in 7, and we're getting a lot of joy and points coming through those channels, and just having someone solid like Chance at the back is kind of a nice balance. But so I've kind of made peace with that, and I think I want to still keep Tane in the side, so he can stay on one wing, and Roger's just plugging a hole at centre. I'm with you guys. I don't see him as a centre. I think the selection becomes really interesting when we get Ali Leatawa and Rocco Berry back. Then you're struggling. Who do you leave out then? Things get really tricky.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, but and Bjorn said I could use my wooden spoon for your cooking. Yeah, I cheated. I did lamb shanks again for the game day. I thought it was a good omen. It's an expensive omen, but it was a good one nonetheless. And Jacko said he's got Metch, CHT, then he's got Dallin, Roger, Pomps, and Moala Graham Telfer as a late change. He is in the extended bench, so he could come in, and I rate him. He hasn't had a lot of opportunities in first grade, but I do like him, so I wouldn't say no to that either. Or just do a buffhead thing, and I'd put, we've got Capewell in one centre, Lecker in the other, throw some other forwards out on the wings, and just make it all forwards, baby.
Whoever's playing centre this week's got a tough job anyway, don't they? Especially whoever's marking up on Herbie.
Yeah, I think it's usually Pompey, and Pompey does seem to like that battle, because when we played before, he's really shown he can defend Herbie well, so it could be a good contest. And Jacko said, unless more injuries come, Tane stays inside and numbered. Harsh, but that's like it is unfortunate. Ideally, if there were no injuries, we probably wouldn't have seen Tane at all in first grade at this point of the year. So it's great that he's had this opportunity. It does suck, but it is footy. My question to you, mate. if you're in charge of the new Perth side coming in 2027, who would be your target as your marquee signing?
Okay. Take this for what you will. Maybe call it a cop out. I don't care. I've got a good reason. My marquee signing, I'll say signings because they come as a package deal. Head coach, former North Sydney Bears player, Ivan Cleary. And of course, he comes with his son, Nathan Cleary. You get the Clearys at the Bears, and it's just gone full circle for Ivan. He's back at the Bears again, albeit in a different state. That you can't get much better than that for a marquee signing, surely.
I could have seen it if the Panthers were doing what the Panthers have been doing the last 4 years this year, but they've fallen off a cliff. I don't know if he wants to go out with a poor outfit, but maybe that's all part of his ploy, mate. They're tanking the season so he can get out of his contract and go across. He'll get told he's looking tired, excuse again, and get sacked. And Jacko said, yeah, great idea, Richie, put away him. Yeah, I don't think it will happen. The ideal when I'm going with, I was going to go with Jerome Hughes, but he's outright said no, and it sounds like the Storm are extending him. It's going to end up being someone. It's either going to be like a Kalen Ponga, who there were talks that he might be out of the Knights. It would be him, or it'd be like a big forward. So a Payne Haas or a Big Tino. Big Tino does have a clause to get out of his Titans contract. It could be that. I don't see Big Tino probably going to Perth, though.
Could be Jerome Luai if his dad's correct.
Mate, that was so funny. I didn't even put it in the news. Did you see his latest update where he said his wife's taking his phone off him?
Yeah.
I could see even a Payne Haas. If the Broncos keep going the way they are, he might want to get out of there. And build from scratch. It's really hard to say. I don't know what advantages they're going to get in recruiting players. I know Wayne Bennett's kind of come out and said they're not allowed to have any advantages because the Dolphins got no advantages, so they shouldn't get any either. And yeah, Jagger said don't be surprised if Metcalf's on the Bears' radar, and Tino will also be. Yeah, I think Tino will be a target. Metcalf will be a target on a lot of teams, I think, but I know the Warriors already extended him not that long ago. I won't be surprised if they extend him out again with how he's been going. And yeah, it's all down. You've got to keep his missus happy. That's all it is. I think he's more than happy being here. It's Warriors are traveling well. He's getting to be the number 7 of the Warriors. A lot of the other ones, when they do that leave, they want to be a number 7 somewhere, and they'll go elsewhere to get it. He's kind of got the best gig at the club being that 7, especially behind that pack they've got at the moment. So I feel like the only reason he's going to leave is because the Warriors, for some reason, decide they don't want him, or his missus doesn't want to live in New Zealand anymore. But living in New Zealand, I feel, might be still a bit better than living all the way over in Perth, maybe. So I don't know. Don't be devil's advocate, Jacko, and put those thoughts into her mind. We've got to keep her happy. Send her gift baskets and stuff. If she's selling anything, buy it. And Bjorn said, with Auckland FC at Mount Smart, is there talks of upgrades? I don't know. I don't think so. It's owned by the council, the Auckland Council owner, and they're really not interested in doing anything to it. They'd rip it down if they could. They really don't want it anymore. It's really the fact that the Warriors have a large lease on it that it's still around. Because I think there were talks they wanted to bulldoze it and turn it into like a speedway.
Yeah.
And then make the Warriors find somewhere else to play. But yeah, it's hard to say. I think if the Auckland FC continue playing there, it could be in the question. Auckland FC get good crowds, but they're not getting like 20,000, 30,000 every game. If both teams could start pulling that regularly, it could push the conversation. But yeah, I don't know. And Jagger says, sure, we're in the process of upgrading, extending Met's contract. I'm sure there's talks. I don't know personally, but I'm sure there's work. They're not going to let him slip. And yeah, so Auckland FC's owners are looking at trying to purchase Western Springs, I hear. Yeah, I didn't know, but Ali Williams is like one of the owners of Auckland FC, mate. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Of course you did. I don't keep up. But yeah, they're looking at potentially buying Western Springs and going there, which would be great. I want them out of my bloody stadium. I'm sick of all these
Get out of
bloody
our house.
they've got you haven't been there forever, mate, but they got a mural on the inside that they did over the holidays. And like each area's got a different thing. And Auckland FC's already got a mural up. But they're doing well, so congrats on what they're doing and that thing they call a sport. But yeah, and Simon said Auckland FC's got Multio, Ali Williams, Stephen Adams, and a billionaire from Vegas. I didn't know Stephen Adams was in it too. But well done. And then Ross said Benji and Galvin to Perth. Galvin wants to go as far away from Benji as possible, mate. But so we'll move on to the round, mate. Starting with the Warriors Dolphins. We're playing at Suncorp. Second time in 3 weeks we're going to Suncorp, mate. So we'll bring up this team. Rattle off the Warriors team, mate.
Fullback CNK, wings Dylan Martinez-Lesniak, Tantua Piki, centers Adam Pompey, Kurt Capewell, halves Chanel Harris-Tavita, Luke Metcalf, forward pack James Fisher-Harris returns, co-captain, Mitch Barnett and Wade Egan, Leka Halasima, Maratini Kore, Aaron Clark, interchange bench, Tamari Martin, Jacob Laban, Dimitri Vaimonga, and Sam Healy. Interesting bench there, squeezing both Healy and Tamari on. Thoughts?
Yeah. And only one forward on the extended bench too. So
Roger and Moala Graham Telfer on the extended as well. So
yeah, so if they are going to drop one of the little boys off the chains, the only big boy that could come on is Stowell Smith, unless it's because Roger comes in, Capewell goes to the second row, and then the second rower joins the bench, or if Roger's not available and Moala comes in. I think that could be how it works, just with how the extended bench is. But I'm happy enough with the team with what we've got at the moment. Great to see Fish back. We haven't missed him as much as I thought we would, but it's bloody good to have him back. So and Bjorn said it might be a wet game looking at the weather. Jacko said he hopes so because it's better for us against the speedsters. Yeah, and that's another hoodoo we got rid of. We were a team that couldn't play in the wet. We've been doing that, so that could help us out. Dolphins, though, we've got the Hammer at fullback, Jack Bostock and Jermaine Osako on the wings, Jake Avarillo and Herbie Farmworth in the centres, Haza, Cody Nikarima and Isaiah Katoa, front row of Francis Molo, Kurt Donahue and Felice Kafusi. Then we've got Fini Finiaki and Tom Gilbert in the second row, Ray Stone at lock, with Harrison Graham, Mark Nichols, Josh Kerr and Connolly Limu on the interchange. Good side for them too. They got, Hammer's always a danger. Isako is going to be dangerous just even at the kicking tee. Luke's got to have his goal kicking boots on for sure. Katoa's finding new groove. Nick Ream's doing well. The tough team. Who are you picking?
I'm picking us to have a down week. I'm going to go Dolphins.
Oh, how could you? I'm going Warriors, mate. We're extending the run. We haven't lost at Suncorp in a while. We even beat Panthers there, mate. So it's our home ground. It's basically our home ground if you listen to the crowd support as well. So I'm hoping. But yeah, I always have a sneaking suspicion that maybe it could be one of these ones where the conversions bite us in the ass if Luke has an off night. And Jagger said we could use Stow Smith on the bench with the Finns having the tough rugged pack with Kafusi, Gilbert and Stone. Yeah, it's a lot of work you're going to expect the other boys to do. And I felt for old poor Tamati Martin, mate, in that game last week, jumping on at lock for a bit. Not really his bag. But so we differ on that game, mate. So we might be okay with the multi, maybe. So we've got the rest of the fixtures. Only Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week because of Origin on Thursday. Before we go through the rest, Jacko said was 24-18, but not surprised if we have an off game and lose. Yeah, so he's similar mindset to you, mate. But Friday, Knights Eels. I've gone with the Knights. Knights at home.
Yeah, that doesn't mean a lot this year.
No, especially after the last game. But.
Yeah, I'm going to go Eels on that one.
All right, so no multi yet. Bulldogs Roosters on Friday. I've got Bulldogs.
Bulldogs.
Yeah, we got one on the multi. Then Saturday, we got Warriors Dolphins. You went Dolphins, I went Warriors. Cowboys Seagulls. I've gone Cowboys.
Me too.
Nice.
We have a multi.
We have a multi. Then last game on Saturday, Sharks Storm. I've gone Storm.
That's a heck of a game. Storm as well for me.
Yeah, I already wrote it down, so you had to pick it.
Okay.
Didn't even doubt it. Then on Sunday we've got the Broncos and the Dragons. I've gone Broncos.
Yeah, me too.
All right, our multi's finding legs, mate. Raiders Titans. I've gone Raiders.
Yeah, surely.
And then the last game, Tigers Rabbits. I've gone Rabbits.
Tough game.
Yeah.
I'll go Tigers for a bounce back. Campbelltown.
Nice. And Jacko said Grant back Storm win. And Bjorn said Broncos at Suncorp. What a shock. Yeah. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable how many. It feels like they're always bloody there. But yeah. It's a good round. I'm hoping my tips are a lot bloody better. We got 1, 2, 3. We got a 5-game multi, which I'll send to Paul. And he hopefully will remember to put it in.
That's all right. 5 games.
Yeah, and we didn't ramble as much this week, mate. We only had an hour and a half, and we can let everyone off early. Jacko's managed to be here for the whole show. Anything else you want to add before you start rambling for half an hour? Get it going too.
I'm happy.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and joining us on the Standoff with Brad and Richie. For your weekly update on rugby league, tune into our show next week at 8 p.m. on Wednesday on Facebook or YouTube. Just remember, search for New Zealand Sport Radio, or if you're watching on Facebook, you can look on my one, which is Inga's League Wrap-Up. Or later on, go on Spotify or iHeartRadio. Just always remember, search New Zealand Sport Radio. Cheers again for joining me, Richie. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and good night.